Okay. We're broadcasting, we're recording. Yay. All right. So I'll go ahead and get started while we wait for people to kind of trickle in. So hi, I'm Megan. I am a kids book specialist at Powerhouse Books, Powerhouse Arena, Powerhouse on 8th, both bookstores. If you've ordered a book over email or the phone recently, you probably talked to me. So first of all, thank you so much to John for joining us today and for everyone else for joining us. It really means a lot to us that we can have these events and still interact with our community in this really tough time. And speaking of interacting with our community, I'm putting the link in the chat to purchase a copy of John Robert Allman's book that he's going to be reading from today, A is for Audra. Purchasing the book not only helps support our really wonderful guest, but also your local indie bookstore. So we really appreciate that. And just a couple of housekeeping things for anyone who might not have been on a Zoom event before. You'll notice on the bottom of your screen, there's a button that looks like a little text bubble that says chat. If you click on that, you'll be able to see the chat. You can leave comments and stuff like that there. It's where I'll be posting the book links. You can also leave comments if you have anything to say to us while John's reading. We also have the Q&A button, and that's where you can submit any questions that you have, and we're going to do a little Q&A where John can answer those a little bit later. So feel free to put them in as you think of them or towards the end when we get to that Q&A. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our guest. We have John Robert Allman with us today. He is the author of A is for Audra, Broadway's leading ladies from A to Z. He lives in New York City, where he works in marketing for television and theater. John is a graduate of Northwestern University, New York University's Stern School of Business, and BMI's Musical Theater Workshop. You can follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Johnny_Allman. John is also the author of B is for Ballet and Boys Dance. Both are forthcoming from Doubleday Books for Young Readers later this year. Yay, welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Of course.
Should we jump in?
Yeah, go for it. I'm going to go ahead and disappear so everyone can see what you're doing.
Awesome. Well, I'm thrilled to be here to read A is for Audra today, and thanks so much to Powerhouse and Megan for having me. So without further ado, this is A is for Audra, Broadway's leading ladies from A to Z. A is for Audra, who awes and amazes. With each line and note, all the critics sing praises. B is for Barbara and Barbara too, both versatile vocalists equaled by few. C is for Christine's crystal clear intonations, for which she's won Tonys and standing ovations. D is for Dolly, that devious dame played by Carol, Pearl, and Bet, and too many to name. E is for Elaine, whose delivery delights and who often performed wearing little but tights. F is for Fosse, whose dazzling dancin' made these triple threats feisty, fierce, and entrancin'. G is for Gertrude, whose greatest success was a king-teaching tutor who dressed to impress. H is the heavenly Miss Heather Headley, whose turn as Aida was daring and deadly. I is for Adina, whose vocals you'll know from Wicked or Rent or from Letting It Go. J is for Julie's sweet silvery soprano, as bright as a bell and as pure as a piano. K is for Kristen, whose range stupefies in spite of her small, less than 5 foot tall size. L is for Leia, the voice of Mulan, who broke Broadway hearts as the first Miss Saigon. M's Mary Martin, whose vibrance and verve gave Peter his pluck and Maria her nerve. N's for Nell Carter, who had Broadway Raven when she crooned Fats Waller in Ain't Misbehavin'. O's the outstanding Miss Kelly O'Hara as Nellie, Francesca, Mrs. Anna, or Clara. P is for Patty, whose belt, big and brassy, made Eva so mighty and Reno so sassy. Q is for Broadway's unquestionable queen, a glamorous goddess on stage and on screen. She's brilliant and bold and has talent in meters. Ladies and gentlemen, Bernadette Peters. R is for Rose, Broadway's maddest of mothers, in show-stopping turns by Ms. Merman and others. S is for Sutton, whose singing and tapping keeps spectators chanting and cheering and clapping. It's also for Sondheim, who wrote these plum parts for women with substance, with strength, and with smarts. T is for Tanya, whose Titanic range includes Jelly's Last Jam and Caroline or Change. U's for Ms. Uggams, whose charm is contagious each time she busts out on the Great White Way's stages. V's for Victoria, whose voice operatic makes any score soar, whether light or dramatic. W's the wondrous Miss Lilias White, whose riffs, runs, and scats sound so wonderfully right. These divas are dynamos, and you should know them, but didn't fit anywhere else in this poem, so here are some extra, exceptional names of exalted, exciting, and excellent dames. You know who's last. If you don't, take a guess. Z is for Liza, with a Z, not an S. And that's the end. Short and sweet, but a lot of divas. So if anyone has any questions, we can jump into those. Otherwise, that's it. Let's see. All right, Francis asks, what is my favorite page? For me, I'd have to say I love all the pages with multiple ladies on them. So it's kind of fun on like D is for Dolly to see multiple actresses who all played the same part over different productions and different years, all on the same page together. So that's one of my favorites, but I think my true favorite, my number one, is this page with all of the Roses who've played Mama Rose in every Broadway production of Gypsy. Any other questions? Okay, Anne-Marie asks, have you been in any musicals? I have. I did a lot of shows growing up. So in high school and when I was younger, I did a lot of theater and I love theater. Nowadays, though, I mostly just like seeing theater, a big theater attender now. And Anne-Marie also asks, what is your favorite musical? I think I'd have to say Gypsy, which ties right back to my favorite page, R is for Rose. And it was just very exciting to be able to see my favorite show and one of my favorite parts illustrated so beautifully with all of these amazing ladies by Peter Emmerich, our illustrator. Gypsy is ours too. Great taste, great show. Ooh, how did you decide who to include, Francis asked. It was tough. And my friends had a lot of fun kind of working with me to figure out who we wanted to include, but we really went out of our way to try and squeeze in as many ladies as we could. So for some letters, while we only have one person, others we have multiple. And then we were very lucky that my amazing editor went for our workaround to getting all of these 36 ladies on the X for extra exceptional dames page. And so many of these women that otherwise wouldn't have been able to fit in the book are in here now. And everyone can take a peek and find new favorites and look up their songs and videos online. But it was tough, but I'm happy that we ultimately were able to get in, I think, almost 70 divas. Anything else? All right. Ooh, let's see. Powerhouse says, what should people look forward to in your upcoming books? Ooh, so both of the books that we have coming out in September, we put together with American Ballet Theater. So they're very exciting looks at the world of classical dance, although we worked in some other forms of dance as well. B is for Ballet walks you through the basics of ballet, great ballets, movements, ballerinas, choreographers, all of it. And it's illustrated beautifully. And then we have boys dance, which is really meant to encourage boys to get into dance. I danced as a kid and was often one of the only boys in my dance classes. So I think our hope is that it'll hopefully inspire young dancers to get into class, even if they might. Anything else? Ooh, what inspired you to write A is for Audra? For me, it was mostly just wanting to celebrate the performances of these amazing women that I'm such a big fan of, and give friends like me who love musical theater and want to share that love of it with their friends' kids, their cousins, their nieces and nephews, any young aspiring theater fans. So it was really the gift that I wished I could give to people to get them excited as I am about theater. So that's kind of where the idea came from, and now it's here, and everyone can share all of their favorite leading ladies with Broadway fans of all ages. Anything else, anybody? If you could perform with one of the ladies, who would you choose? I'd have to go with probably letter Q, who I think is the queen of Broadway, Miss Bernadette Peters, who actually was who I saw in the first Broadway show I ever saw. So when I was 9, I grew up in Texas, but my grandparents took me to New York for my first time to see my first Broadway show, and it was Annie Get Your Gun, starring Bernadette Peters. So I have a very special place for that experience and that show and that actress. So that would be who I would say. It would be very fun to do a duet with Bernadette Peters. Oh, Anne Marie, thank you for having the book and loving it. Anything else? All right, well, I guess we can wrap it up then, but thank you again to Powerhouse and Megan for having me, and to everybody for tuning in.
Thanks so much for joining us. I'm so jealous that you saw Bernadette Peters. I would cry if I saw that woman perform in anything.
It was amazing. It was a good entree into Broadway theater going for sure.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I saw the revival of Hello Dolly with my mom, like for Mother's Day, and it was just like
The best.
everything was amazing. Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I'm gonna go ahead and put the link one more time into the chat to purchase a copy of the book. There's also a little donation link there. If you can, any donations go directly towards helping Powerhouse stick around during this tough time and keep bringing free events like this one. We love getting to do them, and we love getting to still be able to see you guys. Yeah, and this is an ongoing Sunday Storytime series. So next Sunday, we're going to be having a really fun reading with author Haewon Yum. She's reading from her book Lion Needs a Haircut. It's a really cute father-son story about a little lion who really does not want to get his first haircut, and his dad helping him learn to be brave through it. So it's really sweet. Check out our event page to RSVP for that. And yeah, thank you so much again, John, for joining us. And thank you, everyone else, for taking time out of your Sunday.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Of course. All right. Bye,
Bye.
everybody. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday.